Cool. What's going on, everybody? Vince from Life at the Ave. We have our esteemed guest here, Mr. Giuliano Messina.
Thank you.
Dupont Street Barbershop. And this is episode 23, so thanks for tuning in. Hopping right into it, the T on DE. So we do a team T, a local T, and then a pop T. So team T, we just had our Santa photos this weekend. Probably, Mary Kay and I were discussing it, probably our favorite event of the entire year. And just want to give a shout out. The whole entire team crushed it. Neighborhood showed out. We had so many little babies show up. So
nice.
It's wild, the difference between a 5-month-old and a 2-month-old.
Yeah.
To like look at that, I'm like, oh, I'm out of that. Thank God. I'm out of that. Thank God. But yeah, Joel, what I wanted to ask you is like, you know, you're definitely a supporter of our events and just like kind of like looking in on the outside, like you watched us kind of like promote that event sort of deal we talked about a little bit, and just kind of like our stuff in general. Like, what do you think of it?
I think you guys are crushing it. I really respect all the different ways you diversify, how you market yourselves, being transparent, being a part of the community. You know, I think it goes way beyond selling houses for you, which I feel the same way, you know, within my business. And, you know, for you guys being young, I think, you know, you're really on the cutting edge of, you know, doing big things. And I've told you this before. So much respect for that.
Appreciate that. Yeah. And, I love it. I've always tried to, you know, like take a lesson from like everywhere I go, sort of deal. So, you know, kind of similar. You know, when I come in and I get cut by you in the shop sort of deal, like probably my favorite parts are, you know, the 5 minutes in the beginning and the 5 minutes at the end.
Yeah.
Like the characters, you know, the handshake from the previous guy finishing up whatever crazy ass story he was telling.
Right.
Sort of deal. And then like the next group of characters coming in. And you got to see a little bit of that too. So like, you know, we keep an open vibe here.
Yeah.
I like the barbershop style.
Yeah.
Like, you know, hey, it's all out in the open.
Yeah,
you got
absolutely.
an issue, let's air it out. Let's talk it out. You know, hey, you got a problem, let's fix it together. Right? So that's kind of how we collaborate sort of deal. So we'll get into a little bit more on your team there coming up.
Okay.
Moving into the local T, the boys are pumped. Want to give a shout out to our guy, Mr. Gene Deldon.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes, big time. Yeah.
Congratulations. What was that final? What was that final? 47?
45-17.
45-17.
Yeah, they're definitely a second half team. And I think, you know, that was the case many times this season. I'm sure, you know, kind of made their coaches pucker a little bit, you know, at first half. But they bring it home the second half. And congratulations to them, man. It's a big deal. And, you know, you hear, of course, like with anything, you know, when you have such an icon, you know, like our former coach was, you know, kind of stepped down, and anybody to have taken over would have came with a little bit of sourness from people. A lot of times people don't like change. Yeah. And, you know, the Deldons are a big name in Delaware and Newcastle County, and I'm sure even beyond. Especially, you know, with Elena and whatnot, but you know, so there was I don't know if hating is the right word, but you know, but it's funny, you know, once they started winning and were proving that they weren't just like a 1 or 2, 3 win team, and you know, and then it carried on into the playoffs and probably beat their biggest competition in the quarter and semifinals of the playoffs. A lot of the tone started to change.
Yeah,
and you know, talking with Gene throughout the process. Yeah, he comes in the shop once a week. And so I see him enough. And when he was going through the process of interviewing for the position and stuff like that, there was some other schools that had reached out to him and offered him a head coach position. No,
that's insider information, intel.
It is. And I'm not going to say which schools, but I personally have some attachments to, you know, these schools. So I was curious myself because it would possibly pertain to me or, you know, one of my kids and so forth. But Gene's response to it is what's most important about this story is that he had said it was either Sally's or nothing.
Yeah.
And to me, that that said a lot about his character. You know, he played Sally's football. He was still involved with the school,
Yep.
you know, with basketball and stuff like that. And it was like, you know, I'm not chasing anything. Like, it's Sally's, or I'm just going to, you know, keep punching the clock at my 9 to 5.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's just good to see him get that win.
Yeah, definitely. And what I was hitting at was, you know, stuff goes down in the shop. Like, the realtor finds out a lot of stuff. The barber finds out a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in the chair and Gene walked in and, like, the news had broke sort of deal. And, like, you know, we were like, hey, like, are you? And he goes, I'm interviewing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, like,
Yep.
like, we were all like, oh, snap. And then, like, 2 weeks later, it was like, hey, like, they're going to announce it. And we're like, oh, snap.
Yeah.
It's just, like, funny. It's literally 7:45 on a Wednesday morning. And, like, we're just, like, getting hype in there. Like, yeah, like, let's go.
That's right. Yeah.
And Gene's dressed up. He's got, you know, the suit and tie
Yeah.
on, like, ready to roll. And, yeah, what I was just, like, super impressed about, like, he just, you know, he sticks to his mantra. And, like, I think, you know, just breaking it down super basic, his whole, you know, just edit your behavior, taking ownership of everything,
Yes.
and going out there and getting a guy like an absolute ace like Paul Warlow,
Sure.
to step in there, a dude who, like, you know, really put his hand in the dirt, played in the league and stuff, and, like, Paul was throwing up some, like, old school videos of, like, private only workouts that he was doing with Allen's, like, older brother and stuff, and like, to just have that respect, you know, star player, coaching staff, it just seemed like, you know, it was just a winning formula all the way around. And
hopefully they all stay together. It's going to be a force to be reckoned with for sure.
Definitely, yeah. You know, I got an offensive tackle, you know, class of like 2042, 2043.
Yep.
You know, I'm trying to keep this pipeline going. So hopefully we got Coach Deladon in about 20 years or so. Yeah, we'll see. Getting into Pop T, this is always a classic one. You know, it's Eagles Boys Week.
Ironically enough, you know, me being a Cowboys fan, you know, so I was very happy with the outcome of last night's game against the 49ers. You know, I'm hearing a lot of similar response from most Eagles fans today, and that, you know, it was good to have this loss, and it's humbling, and it's all, you know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I mean, nobody wants to lose.
No, not like that too.
Yeah.
Not
So
like that.
I'm all smiles as a result of that. Hopefully the Cowboys can stick it to them, because if neither one of us go anywhere in the playoffs, if we do lose this game, it'll be the Eagles, you know, they're for the next year, it's going to be how they swept us.
Yes.
In regular season.
That's what you like to remind us sometimes.
Yes. Well, sometimes that's all you have to
cling
say.
to. Yeah.
You know, so you gotta hold on to something.
Stand for something or fall for anything.
Yes. Yep.
Which some Cowboys fans do fall for anything.
They do.
They got the Yankees and then the Lakers.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm strictly Cowboys. It was, you know, growing up playing football when I was a kid, you know, mid 90s, early 90s, they were, and arguably still are, America's team. And I feel like I've paid my dues. I've been supportive of them ever since then. And I mean, look, man, Eagles are a great squad. I could really do without a lot of their fan base.
Yep.
Sirianni could turn into a pile of dust today, and I'd be all right with that. But, you know, you got to give credit where credit's due. There's a lot of good players on that team.
There are, and I'll just, you know, leave it two things. Number one, I'll be on 302 Birds on Wednesday night with my guy Dalton Holland. Our boy runs a podcast, Delaware Birds. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he crushes it. Yeah, it's like wild. Yeah, he gets like some former Eagles and stuff. So it's unbelievable.
Wow, that's cool.
It's unbelievable. And then he goes down and interviews people like down on the tailgates. So it's hilarious. It's a good guy.
Yeah.
Good guy, yeah. So we'll shout out 302 Birds. But A.J. Brown said it best after the game, you know, hey, no one feels sorry for us. It's Cowboys week coming up. Things aren't going to go your way in life. So, you know, I'm glad we got punched in the mouth in December. I'm humbled. I thought we were going to roll the Niners. But, you know, it's the NFL, man. It's not for long. It's what have you done for me lately? And Mr. Morrow, number 41, our linebacker, he's got to go.
Yeah,
so he got picked on yesterday.
Yeah, that's the middle linebacker, the secondary. There's some work that needs to be done there, but
it was tough. Yeah. So that's Pop T. Anything else you want to say? Yeah.
In regards to that, no. Go Cowboys.
Go.
That's all I got.
Love it. Cool. So getting into our main topic of the day, Mr. Messina. yeah, I would say, hey, you want to introduce yourself to the world?
Yeah. So my name's Giuliano Messina. A lot of people call me Giul. I am co-owner of Dupont Street Barbering Company on 10th and Dupont, across from St. Anthony's. Married, been together for going on 21 years since high school. Yep, long
Shout
21
out.
years, but good nonetheless. 5 kids. My oldest will be 18 tomorrow on the 5th. And my youngest is 3, and I, have 3 more in between all that. So, stay busy for sure. Work, family, and try to throw in a little bit of me time in between there. Do some jujitsu, mostly out of Riverfront Jiu-Jitsu. But I do bounce around. I have a lot of friends in the jiu-jitsu world, in the gym ownership
We're
world.
not strangers to the fight game.
Yeah. Yep.
Or the gym game.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. I just try to stay as healthy as I can. Yeah. Other than that, man, this is it. Working.
Love it. So, yeah, appreciate that introduction. Background, Giul and I met. We're still psychopaths, but we were super psychopaths at one point in time in our lives. And we worked out together at 5 a.m. For a period of time.
Yes.
I'm not sure if that was a long period or a short period. It was some years ago.
It was. I think for me it was at least the 5 a.m. was a brief time. I give it to people, man. That 5 a.m. crew, no matter what gym you're at, and even if it's jiu-jitsu, CrossFit, the Y, whatever, like those are dedicated people.
Yes, extremely dedicated. But so that's where we officially met. And my wife, if you guys know me, anybody knows me, within 5 seconds, I'm from Delaware County. So my wife finally said to me, like, hey, like, are you going to freaking go to Delaware County and get your hair cut for the rest of your life? I was like, no, I don't think so. So, I don't know. I never really thought about it. So when we moved down here, and she was like, you got to find somewhere. I had heard of Dupont Street. I met Giul. I actually texted Giul, and I was like, hey, dude, like, I need to get a cut. And, like, I'm, like, lack of a better term, the jackass client. Like, yo, can you fit me in, like, right now in, like, 20 minutes? Like, because that's how I used to get my hair cut in Delco. Like, my boy was just chilling in his basement, and I text him, and he'd be like, you'd put down the Xbox controller. Pick up the
Come through.
Yeah, so that's what I would do. But you're like, nah, like make an appointment. But like my guy Nick is there, so like Nick cut me the first time. I was like, okay, this is sweet. I saw your guys' vibe. I'd like seen it during the Italian festival. Knew who you guys were, and then just been going to you probably every 4 to 6 weeks for the last like 3 to 4 years. So you're like one of my like longest term like dating relationships.
Yeah.
So yeah, congratulations.
Happy to be a part of it.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
But like one of the big things that I really like about it is like there's so much like similarity and crossover in our couple lines of work. And our CEO, he talks about it's not necessarily like a work-life balance. It's more like lifestyle integration. So if there's any lessons that like you can kind of give, like things that we've been talking about in the chair most recently have been like hey, how do I build a book of business? Like what would you say to you got young guys in the shop now, and like how did you build your book of business? And also kind of mention it a little bit. You got to make that time for that family, especially you 6 kids. Like I like having a nice structured day. I'm sure you kind of get that. Your app allows you to do that. Good stuff there. So kind of loaded question, but feel free to take it wherever you're at.
So my advice to the younger guys is to stay consistent. May that be the hours that you work. People get used to your schedule. Be vocal, communicative. It's the overall experience that is going to continue to bring people back. The truth of the matter is, anybody can get a pretty good haircut a lot of places. Just like anybody can, go on a Google search and pull up 100 different realtors. But what separates you from those other 99? And that's the biggest message that I try to get across to my guys. I mean, when I used to work in a barbershop for someone else, and it was straight up walk-in barbershop. We were doing appointment only, but then COVID kind of forced everybody into appointment only. And I feel like a lot of people who maybe thought they couldn't do it before realized they could and have stuck with it. But prior to that, you had your walk-in barbershop, and we would close at 6 o'clock, and it might be 6:02, 6:03, and somebody's walking up to the door, and I would be the guy to let them in. Number one, I'm always there to make money, right? But number two, from living a little bit of a hectic life and having kids and all this other stuff, like I get like things happen, and it's gonna mean a lot more to that guy who probably raced there, and to try to get there on time that was 2 minutes late and allowed him to come in. And those are still some of the same clientele that I have to this day. They started off as just a walk-in client, did no preference on who cut their hair. But because to them I went above and beyond, some of those folks are still with me today. So I try to let the guys also be mindful that like you have to be open-minded, man. Because somebody's showing up a few minutes late, it's their first time or second. Things happen. It's you never know what somebody's walking into the shop dealing with. So you don't want to just go right into being a jackass, because they were a few minutes late, or I don't know. I just feel like the more grounded you are, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah. And straight up, your shop's a little intimidating to come to the first time.
Well, I mean, it shouldn't be. As long as you're not offended by,
like notorious, it's got like a notorious vibe. Like you step in there, you're like, okay, like these are all real ones.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm because I spent a lot of my life around those dudes, and I would prefer to have it no other way.
Correct.
So that's good. But yeah, we get a little crazy on some of the topics of conversation, but aside from that, it's a very welcoming and community type of neighborhood barbershop. And we know when to turn it off. When women and kids are in there for the most part. The little dudes may hear some curse words fly every now and again, but
gotta learn something.
I feel like it's a part of becoming a man.
Yeah. How was that process? Like when did you guys open up? You met like Matt. Like did you and Matt grow up together? Like
how's
that
I've known Matt, Stacio, my business partner. I've known him since 5th grade. I started at St. Elizabeth's in 5th grade. Mm-hmm. He had gone there his whole life, but. So we played sports together, throughout that time. High school came. He stayed at St. Elizabeth's. I left. I was going to go to Votech school because I wanted to learn how to cut hair. And
you knew back then?
I had a pretty good idea. Yeah, I just liked the overall vibe of, I used to go to what was Doc's, then U.S. Mail on Maryland Avenue, mm-hmm. Mark and Chris. And, amongst a handful of other great barbers, Brian Granger and some other guys. And so Dean. But it just seemed like a fun place to work. Back then, we're going back, 25 years ago. Those dudes were heavily tattooed. Yeah. They had the street bikes. They had the hooked up cars.
There's a vibe.
Yes,
there's
for sure. For sure.
That's what I mean by when I say like notorious. Yeah. I would say the biggest compliment I can give you guys is like Wilmington runs through that shop.
For sure. I appreciate it.
Nothing happens in the city that the shop ain't heard about already.
Yeah, there's been a lot of business connections made, man, in the barbershop.
You're a center of influence for a community.
Dope. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I might start like some kind of networking business where I can get paid for this stuff. But in the meantime, it's
I'm trying to figure it out as well.
Just connecting people, man. But yeah, so we played sports together, and I ended up going to Votech school, and we lost contact for a little bit through high school, and then a mutual friend of ours, a buddy of ours, he has since passed away, but Joe Madams, he had connected us again. And, we started hanging out, and, I mean, it was just like old times, but as adults. And he was cutting hair at this point, and as was I. The opportunity for Dupont Street had came about. My mom was riding by. She knew the landlords of the building.
Nice.
My nephew and their son both went to grade school together at St. Anthony's. They were just talking, and they told my mom the building was available. I immediately hit Matt up. I'm working at one shop, he's working at the other.
This is the beginning of every Delaware real estate story ever.
And
wasn't even looking for it, but my family told me it was available.
Right. Yeah.
Next thing I know, I'm in there.
Yeah, it's just that community neighborhood, aspect. And I was like, dude, you'll never guess what's available, because he had interest in it before, and he actually approached the old men that used to own it, but they just at the time
what was in there before?
ready.
Anything?
Yeah, it was a barbershop.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
Sweet.
Actually, Gene's great uncle Ernie. Mm-hmm. Who I'm assuming his dad is named after, Big Ern.
Shout out Big Ern.
Shout out Big Ern.
Can we get on that yacht?
Yeah, right. I'm assuming they had Ernie Deladon and Gus Peroni. They had owned it prior to us. So it sat vacant for some years. Another guy had it before us, and it sat vacant, and then we went in. But it's been Christian. Ortega, we both worked with at our previous barbershops. He came on with us, been rocking with us since day one, still there. It was just on and popping from there. So March of 2016 was when we opened up. So
love it.
Yeah.
Love it. And so it started out as 3. What are you guys up to now?
So now we are at
staff-wise.
5 of us. Yeah.
Nice. I feel like that's a nice number.
It is. It is. I mean, at one point we had 7. It's like, but our buddy Nick Stacio, Matt's cousin, he was working there, but he was also training MMA full time. So he would kind of do like a early afternoon into the evening. So some stations were being shared and stuff like that. But we made it work. But yeah, it's a good number. 5's a good number.
Nice. Nice. What do we think about Nick coming back celeb cutting? He hyped it up.
He did, yeah.
I think he kind of crushed it. Did he? It looked
absolutely,
like he did.
Yeah. It's funny, man.
I like when Max Cutler gets in there too every now and then. I'm like, what does this dude not do?
Man, I wish Max. He's got different things going on in life. Both with his business, his wife's business. But man, what a great addition he would be. And we had Alex, she was in there apprenticing, and she's a full-time Wilmington firefighter. But again, you want to talk about like somebody that just fell right into the fold, and it was just like they were a part of the team, both of them, and it's tough because, as good of a fit as they would be, you're only going to get at most, a part-time out of them because they have other things in life going on. Mm-hmm. But then it's of course like, the person that, could devote a full time to you, aren't as cool as those two people are.
Yeah. And like, it's just always like trying to like, find that fit. And like, there's different people, who can just come in and like integrate themselves in, and like kind of what have found, at least in our world and stuff. Like I told myself when I got my real estate license, like, dude, like being a realtor is like kind of like cheesy. Like I just need to be, kind of like the cheesiest, just most like authentic version of myself. Mm-hmm. And I think everyone on our team is empowered to do that, because like if you try to be anything else, like in your shop or my shop, like you'll just get exposed. Yeah. Like the people can see through the BS 100%. And that's what I love. Like you guys just always keep it real. Like with the crazies who come in, you're like, yo, you're fucking crazy, dude. Yeah. Like, no, like you're in the wrong sort of deal. Yeah. Like with whatever story that they got going on, you guys just always keep it real in there. And that's what, I love. I love about that.
Appreciate it.
I look forward to my times when I book it in Booksy. I look forward to it.
Yeah, man. It's and I'm not trying to sound cheesy, but it is much bigger than just the haircut. Like we just spoke on a few minutes ago. Business deals are being made, connections are being made. There's a lot of stuff that goes on within, the walls of a barbershop. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of times it's a place where guys can sort of vent and, get some stuff off their chest.
It's a sacred place.
Yeah. A lot of men, may not be as, pumped to go to a therapist or something like that. But, they feel comfortable enough with their barber. There's a lot of different aspects that I personally feel that is a part of the haircut, and you look good, you feel good, and then maybe you'll be good. And I say be good in terms of like so we work with a nonprofit, the Green Beret Project.
Yep.
And they mentor at-risk youth, and we have some involvement with it as well. With cutting their hair, again, especially teenage boys, man. Like a lot of teenage boys, they want to look good. They're starting to take interest in girls, and girls are taking interest in them. And I personally like to use it as like a reward system. If you're checking these certain boxes, that being, being a good student, if you're into sports, being a good athlete, and being a good person outside of school, then I will help you in return to feel good and look good. Going and doing haircuts at AI Hospital in the oncology department, for kids who are getting treatment and their hair is falling out. A lot of times they're young and, man, they don't even really understand like the severity of what they're going through. Yeah. But they just know that my hair is falling out on my pillow or it's falling out of my food, and that's disgusting. Yeah. So to be able to go and do that and help them in compared to like what they're dealing with, like, man, like that's big, Huge. And it's to some people it's like, oh, you're just cutting hair, but when you take it other places and it's a big deal, so. Yeah. You're not going to make $1 million off of it, but you're going to really touch some people along the way.
Yeah, definitely, and like I feel like we're kind of like similar. Like we do similar stuff in real estate. Like there's we help out so many people with rentals. Sometimes they pay, sometimes they don't, sort of deal. But like some of our work is just pro bono. Like it just has to be done. So and so's going through something, whatever it is, right? And like that helps you feel good.
Sure.
Helping out, and then obviously we try to do our best with donations, volunteering, things like that. We get that going on. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. So on the flip side. We'll touch on this briefly, and then we'll finish up with like 5 more minutes, maybe. The flip side, like Sopranos Fest, yeah, like going up cutting there. Like, what's that like? Yeah, that looks reckless.
It's an experience for sure. Yeah. Hopefully they're doing another one here soon. They had Sopranos Con, and then they had Mob Movie Con. It's kind of weird. Like you just set up in like a big like banquet area of a hotel, casino, whatever, and so there's like carpet and stuff like a setup that we're not really used to in the barbershop. But it's cool, man. You get a lot of different walks of life that come through there. Some celebrities and meet some awesome people and some good networking.
Love that. Word, yeah. So we were talking, you guys have done a few like expo shows. Yeah. So Sopranos Con, Mob Movie Con. What else does the Dupont Street like to do? You guys sometimes you look for a tussle at Olive Garden. Every now and then you guys look for a tussle.
This as long as you don't, steal one of our dad's phones, we'll be square. But we are all very competitive. We always say, I mean, dude, you can come in the shop and there's an argument amongst all of us, who can kick a further field goal. Oh, yeah. Who can, whatever, throw a baseball further. And we've been saying for years that like we need to have like a Dupont Street field day and really put
NFL Combine.
Yeah, really put a lot of this to rest.
A decathlon, sports
Yeah,
decathlon.
yeah. So,
oh yeah, we can.
but yeah, man, we're a family, and we sometimes we're getting at each other's throats, but like family, at the end of the day, we all love each other, and we're family, man.
I like that. And you guys are some ballers too. Like Matt literally broke his elbow at the
the
rough touch football.
Yeah, the Thanksgiving the turkey bowl.
Yeah, and then Chicken talked himself in. I brought him out golfing. Chicken came out on Dupont, just balled out on me.
Yeah,
I was like, dude, this is unbelievable.
My favorite thing to say about him that he even like sometimes will.
And he's torn an ACL playing hoops.
I'll always tell people, I'm like, I know he doesn't look like it, but he's actually a really good golfer. Just looks like typical white dude from Claymont, with a bunch of random tattoos and whatever. And but my man's pretty consistently shooting low 80s on the golf course. Yeah. And
he's hilarious. Yeah. You guys are some freaking athletes in there with Nick. He's that fight career was hilarious when he broke both his hands.
Yep. Leave it to Nick, man. Be a barber. Break both your hands, and I think it was his first amateur debut. Watching him still come in the shop and try to eat chicken wings, and with 2 casts on was pretty funny. But
he put up a snap that was. At least I got the other one.
Yep.
Not safe for work snap.
But I think it's just anytime you get a bunch of what I'd call normal dudes, in one room, enough testosterone, it gets competitive. It gets, it's the old locker room, in high school, but just now as grown men.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's a fantastic spot. I want to thank you for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Anything you want to shout out? Where can we find you guys?
Well, you popped my podcast cherry, so thank you for that.
Yes.
I just all the clients, we appreciate you guys. That's why we're able to go on 8 years now. Thank you, and man, look forward to being a part of the community indefinitely and keeping the good times rolling.
Sweet. Yeah, so we'll tag this on Instagram. You can find you guys at 1012 North Dupont Street. Look for them on the Booksy app. Super easy way to go ahead, book your haircut. It's super nice because you can see your past appointments. Oh, do I need one? When's the last one I got? 4 weeks ago. I know I'm due. Go ahead and schedule it. Don't be the crazy person. Thanksgiving week, back to school pictures week. Go ahead, get that scheduled in advance. You're an adult.
Right.
You can book your own haircut appointment, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So, appreciate y'all tuning in. Thanks again for Giul for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you, Pat. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
See ya.
Love y'all.